Burton. I'm with the Partner Practice Service Cloud Global Partner Practice Lead, and I want to welcome you to today's field service webinar. Our topic today is optimization and customer KPIs, and I'm also inviting today Nikolai Abrutov. He is from Click Software and is going to do the presentation and demo today, and we have Rob Group on the phone as well, who is our new Service Cloud lead for EMEA. So with this, I hand over to Nico. One more thing. So I am going to record this webinar, and I'm going to post the recording to the partner community and to the field service experts chatter group in the partner community. So for anyone who can not make the webinar, the recording will be there. And please post your questions to the question section on the side panel. We will go over the question at the end of the presentation. Thank you. And with this, I'm handing over to Nikolai.
Who joined today's webinar. Please feel free to ask your questions on the question box, and Katrina and Robert will mediate throughout the session and voice these questions when appropriate. So we're going to talk today about the concept of optimization and how you can relate it to customer KPIs, along with things to consider as you go into your design workshop and consider the implementation efforts for your customers. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the field service engagement journey, which is a really good way to frame the mind of yourself as well as your customer on where you are at today and where you're going. We'll have a quick refresh on the scheduling policies that we discussed on the previous webinar, and then we'll dive into the key field service metrics. This is what will drive the design of the solution that you will build for the customers implementing field service lightning. And we'll address a few probing questions that the customers will be familiar with from the sales cycle, but will help you further to distill and to define the most important things to implement on the first sprint, etc. So let's dive in. The field service engagement journey is a really interesting concept coined by Click Software and is very relevant for field service lighting customers. It's an evaluation, and it's usually a conversation topic with your customer about how complex and sophisticated their field service operation is, and the current and desired degree of optimization of that operation. And through the life cycle of the field operation, or using a system or moving from one system to another, customers will first and foremost strive to achieve visibility, being able to see what's going on out there in the field. And once you have that in place, you're looking at ways to contain costs. Trying to schedule a bit smarter, trying to reflect on what you see out there in the field, and trying to be a bit more efficient. When you go into a serious effort to contain cost, it's optimization of resources essentially that you are looking for. And then the algorithms, the scheduling policies that we have in place become very much relevant. Customers who achieve a very high level of optimization, beyond enjoying higher levels of revenue, better efficiencies in how they operate their field operation, ability to scale, which is oftentimes the driver to adopt something like field service lightning. This is the place where they look to maximize the value of every interaction. And more companies out there realize that their technicians or their field service people or salespeople, whoever that delivers that service, oftentimes these technicians and service delivery people are the only human face that the end customer would actually see. And being able to maximize the value of this interaction really means coming prepared, coming with the right parts, increasing the chance of first visit service delivery, whether it's a break fix or an installation, the ability to offer relevant upsells to the customer, or simply being able to grasp everything that the customer already communicated throughout his earlier or her earlier engagement with the company. So being able to wow the customer in every engagement, to maximize the value in terms of upsells as well, becomes a very important way for companies to differentiate themselves in their industry. And last but not the least, or perhaps the culmination of field service optimization, is the bold effort to differentiate, disrupt, offer a new way to offer or deliver service in their vertical. And of course, you need to make sure that you're running a tight ship with great visibility and control, optimal use of resources, already maximizing the value of every interaction. This is the peak. Presenting this slide or discussing this with the customer is something that Salesforce salespeople will do during their sales cycle, and you should revisit on your initial design workshops. This really sets the stage to understanding where the customer is today, where they would like to be 3, 6, 12, 24 months from now, and really helps you to you and the customer prioritize which elements needs to be developed ASAP, what are the minimum viable requirements to deploy a solution, and what's the end goal of this entire endeavor. So the field service engagement journey. On our previous session, we talked about scheduling policies, and we talked about how the scheduling logic is all about allowing you to intelligently decide whether when you're booking an appointment, deploying the optimization engine, or scheduling something from the Gantt, intelligently decide who is going to do what, where he's going to do it, when and for whom, and that consideration while optimizing towards the company's business KPIs. Those factors that are important to the company, whether it's delivering prompt, timely, and faster service, whether it's reducing operational costs such as overtime and travel, but this is what the scheduling logic is all about. We talked about being able to address several key objectives. The core objectives of visibility, control, and ability to report in real time on what's going on in the field and having live feedback. We talked about tactical objectives of supporting the decision-making of the dispatcher, helping to manage exceptions throughout the day, whether somebody calling in sick, customer changing his appointments, and of course, the real-time monitoring of the operation. And the strategic perspective of reducing operational costs, increasing the utilization of your resources, how many jobs per day you do, how you deploy different skill levels or seniority levels across your organization, and of course, ultimately, improving service levels regardless of whether or not you're penalized if you miss an SLA. High service levels is already an expectation of customers. It's across the board, and field service lighting, an integral part of it is to enable companies to do just that. So these objectives are achieved through the scheduling logic, and we looked at that diagram last week. So just very briefly, if you're looking at your entire employee population when you're trying to think of who to assign the next job to, the rules engine allows you to qualify and disqualify individuals to narrow it down to the select few that could be in the right place, in the right time, with the right skill set to get the job done. And then of those who are qualified to do the job, figuring out who would be the optimal technician. And of course, the answer to who would be the optimal depends on the company's KPIs that are aligned with the objectives that the system can optimize for. There are about 11 rules that are available within Field Service Lightning. You cannot customize additional rules, but we did discuss last week how you can take a single rule and apply it differently to various populations across the organization. So contractors versus internal employees, part-time versus full-time, and so on and so forth. We looked at 7 objectives that are available within Field Service Lightning. These rules and these objectives combine to scheduling policies. And this is really what the logic is all about. The scheduling policies, as we discussed last week, are scenario specific. So as opposed to applying a scheduling policy to an account or a group of accounts, you apply it to different scenarios. Are we business as usual? Are we busy and we're now allowing overtime? Are we getting all hands on deck to tackle a certain challenge and we relax the boundaries of where people can work? So the scheduling policies is about comprehending what scenarios the company comes across, whether it's seasonal, emergency-based, or otherwise. And then teaching the customer how to apply these scheduling policies, whether doing it from the Gantt when you are a dispatcher, whether treating appointments differently from different objects in field service or the Salesforce platform. So scheduling sales appointments in one way and maintenance appointments in another. And of course, when you deploy the optimization engine, which I hope we'll take a look at towards the end of today's session, when you deploy the optimization engine, of course, you're asking the system to consider a certain scheduling policy, one of which will be a default, but you can still accommodate even the optimization engine itself towards these different scenarios. For more insights on that, please review last week's or the previous webinar that we ran. I cannot emphasize enough what an important differentiator and what a powerful tool you receive to implement for your customers within the Salesforce platform with that scheduling logic. Many field service systems simply lack this capability, and those who aspire to have something along the lines of this scheduling logic, oftentimes it will be significant customizations. And I'm sure that there are partners on the call who had the chance to deploy other solutions, even from within the Salesforce ecosystem, to know and be aware of the lack of rules, or of course the absence of the optimization engine. So a very powerful tool that is available at your fingertips. So you talk to your customer, the customer is sold, they already bought field service lighting licenses, now it's time to implement. You define their position on the field service journey, and you all understand the meaning of the scheduling rules, the objectives, and the entire engine. So how do you define what key metrics will be important for your customer, for the company to be using field service lighting, or rather, how do you run this conversation with the customer? We're going to look at some key field service metrics, and this is a very important topic to have as a continuation of that field service journey, and there are qualitative as well as quantitative considerations here. So determine the current state of affairs. Ask them how things are run today. You are most likely to either see a whiteboard, an Excel spreadsheet, an outdated system, or a sophisticated system that from this reason or another is being replaced. And understand how today things are being measured, evaluated, and gauged. The metrics in field service lighting, or the key goals, break down to qualitative and quantitative. So when it's qualitative, it's about how do you manage your resources? Do you have an HR module? Where do you keep a tab of people's availability? Do you access various Outlook or calendar or Google calendars? How do you know their skill set? Are there certain expiring certifications that you need to keep track of? So where do you manage your resources? And how can we bring it all together into field service lighting? How do you dispatch your resources? Believe it or not, we still come across companies that literally fax their assignments to their team members, or text them, or email them, or have the technicians to actually come into the office to receive a paper document. Others would have something a bit more digital. But how is the entire dispatching function done? How many people are managed per dispatcher? Is it a 15 field technicians to 1 dispatcher ratio, which is something that is very prevalent? Or is it closer to the 50 that we boast of enabling dispatchers to handle? How exceptions are managed throughout the day? What would a dispatcher do if a customer cancels an appointment or a technician calls in with a delay at work? How those interactions take place today? And when a service is being executed, how does the back office gather the information about what was done and how soon it happens? You will hear answers along the lines of paper reports coming in at the end of the day or the week, emails, access to various systems to report on all sorts of things, maybe a mobile app with certain forms that employees already respond to. And if you have those solutions, how they connect with the system of record, where you keep the customer account, where you keep everything else, to the Salesforce platform, in other words. When it comes to quantitative, it's all about gaining visibility and control. So seeing what is happening out in the field and being able to report on that in real time. Operational costs. what your customer cares about more, and where are these high costs appear. Is it the gas and the mileage and the car and the insurance maintenance expenditure? Is it the hourly rate or the salary of the technicians? Is it the cost of being penalized on missing an SLA? So what are the key elements, the key cost drivers as well as revenue drivers in the field service operation? Incredibly important to define that. And if we're talking about increasing productivity and revenue, is it about enabling a technician or optimizing a technician's day? So instead of 3 or 4 jobs a day, the technician jumps to 6 or 7 jobs a day? Or is it prioritizing certain type of work, maybe an installation versus a maintenance, or an emergency versus a new customer install? And when we talk about enhancing customer experience, is it about delivering faster service? Is it about sending the right person in with the right skill or skill level? Is it about dispatching a contractor and equipping the contractor with the right scope of information and knowledge about the customer and the work to be done? Or is it an ability to upsell additional services and book follow-up appointments right from the mobile? So these are very important goals, and as you can hear, you can take it in so many different directions. So if we take the 4 tactical or the 4 quantitative objectives that we're looking at the left-hand side, here are some of the KPIs that you can measure. You can literally measure with your customer. So when I say measure, it's, for example, task completion logging by technicians. So visibility and control. You dispatch something to a technician, and then that technician is responding or reporting on completion of work. So how many clicks the person needs to press today versus a flow that you can offer in the mobile app, whether it's Salesforce One or the new offline capable app that rolls out next year. What kind of information do you want to capture? Do you want to take images, capture signatures? How sophisticated this needs to be, and where does this information flow afterwards? Very important element. I'm thinking about on-time appointments. Is it the need for you to create an additional field that will capture and keep track of how many appointments started on time, how many times somebody reported a delay? So talking about these KPIs or brainstorming with the customer around these KPIs will enable you to focus on 2, 3, 4 key KPIs that the customer would like to keep track of and improve on. You will be able to define the first iteration and the most important elements. And field service lighting, as you saw in that journey, is not something that you would necessarily deploy once and you're good to go. It will be just like many other more complex projects in Salesforce, will be an iterative process with minimal viable requirements in the first iteration, and then enhancements and changing the path along the way as people learn to use the system and understand the impact that it brings along the organization. But these are some of the KPIs, and I'm repeating this, just some of the KPIs, the most prevalent KPIs that you could capture with field service lighting and strive to enhance, improve, and optimize using the scheduling logic. These are some of the numbers that the optimization engine, the Click software optimization engine that is a part of field service lighting. These are the numbers that we were able to deliver in the past. And you can see that we're looking at the weight between customer reporting an issue and an actual appointment taking place. We're looking at SLA compliance, and if you're penalized, jumping from a 50 to a 90% SLA compliance could have a dramatic impact on your bottom line. Travel savings. If you have 100 people driving 100 trucks out there, and you're able to reduce their mileage by 10, 15%, the cost impact or the cost savings are dramatic. And you can see some of the dollar and the percentage numbers showing up here. And it's not uncommon for us to enhance the utilization of a resource translated to how many tasks per day per technician can be completed, a 15 to a 35% increase in utilization is very much possible in most of the cases. So this is an example of how dramatic these improvements can be, and the scheduling engine, the optimization engine, is available out of the box of it when it comes to achieving significant, meaningful, substantial ROI in the first year of using the application by the customers, within the first year of customers using the application. Katrine, if there are any questions, do let me know.
Yeah, we have one.
So
there's one question regarding, can you spend some time to explain the difference between locations and work locations and which rules apply in these use cases?
Sure, if possible, as it is not fully related to today's topic, if we can post this question on the chatter of field service experts, I think this is something that we could certainly dive into, and it also related to the next webinar that we have around new object model of field service lightning. If we can take it offline to chatter, that will be really, really beneficial.
Okay, great. So the link to the field service chatter group will be in the follow-up email if you don't know where the group is. So please post that question to the group.
Let's continue then. So here are some of the probing questions, and we will share the deck so we will to you. But these are some of the probing questions that you will be able to discuss with the customer. These are good examples of how to get them to think about what KPIs or what metrics they want to evaluate or enhance. So these are great examples for you to bounce off, and these are questions that the customer is likely to come across when interacting during the sales cycle with the Salesforce account executives. So they should not be shocked when you get to talk to them about this. Just 1 second, please. So there's a very good video about the power of optimization. It's about 2 minutes long, and it's available on the video guide, the link to which you can find on the Field Service Experts community group. But instead of showing you a video today, how about we jump into the Field Service Lightning application itself and run through a short demo of how to think, how to use, how to deploy optimization, and some of the minute nuances in using this engine. So I'm on the Gantt of Field Service Lightning. We're going to focus on the Los Angeles branch. And as you can see, the day is empty at the moment. I don't know if my screen is clear enough, but what we're showing here is people's availability from 9 o'clock until 5 p.m. and then with James, Martino, and Mary available for a few more hours to work on overtime basis. You can see that these boxes are yellow, and if you cannot, then I'm letting you know that there's a few boxes that are yellow. So Field Service Lighting is able, of course, to differentiate between normal and overtime working hours. We also have the service list on the left-hand side, and when a dispatcher is figuring out how to assign these services to the different resources, there are a few ways of going about the scheduling. Well, of course, you can grab a service and just drag and drop it to the Gantt. And if you do that, the system will first and foremost allow the dispatcher to do whatever he wants. So you can certainly override the system, you can break rules. When you're scheduling manually, you're scheduling manually. But even when that manual assist, you see that there's a rule violation here and it explains what went wrong. So we can see that the resource to whom we drag the job simply doesn't have the right skills to get the job done. So we talked about that smart assist or in-day management. I can right-click on this service and either ask the system to give me candidates, suggest a few individuals that could get the job done, or reschedule. The get candidates is a very interesting function because what it would do, it will reduce the list of the resources to those who are qualified. Remember that first stage of narrowing down the list from the entire resource population to the select few that can actually get the job done. But further, because we do have the scheduling policy in place and we know what we're optimizing for, you can see how each resource and every time slot actually gets its own grade out of 100. And this indicates to you how efficient each resource will be in accordance to the scheduling policy that is now in place. So whether it's reducing travel, overtime, etc., we can see that this will be the most optimal spot, and this will be one of the least optimal spots, still within the rules, but just not the best spot to put the job in. So we can just right-click on the job, on the slot that we like, and press schedule here, and we're good to go. So that's manual scheduling. The technician can, of course, the dispatcher can, of course, press the schedule button and have within the environment, without leaving Salesforce, to have a smart assignment of these services. And when I say a smart assignment, that process I showed you before, and I'm just jumping back to that screen, the 100 technicians, getting it down to 5, getting it down to the 1. This logic is applied as we speak to each and every service that we're putting on the Gantt. However, one thing to understand when you're using the schedule without optimization, it considers one service at a time. So the next job that is going to show up on the Gantt is showing up considering everything else that is already there. So in other words, it optimizes one service at a time, and once it puts it on the Gantt, that service is not going anywhere. So we're optimizing one service at a time. This is going to be still more optimal than what a human dispatcher would do, because it still considers the rules. Of those who are still available, it will select the best one, and it will come up with a fairly good result. But it does not consider the schedule as a whole. It schedules one job at a time. And as it completes that scheduling, note how the lunch breaks appears. So in my scheduling policy in this demo, the early start for a lunch is 12 p.m., so noon, but the system knows to accommodate this lunch break so it doesn't force to skip any jobs. If there's a job that is a little bit longer, it knows to put that that lunch break, a little bit later than 12 p.m. to accommodate an optimal schedule. So here we go. We've got 56 hours of total work, and we can see that KPI at the top. We can see an average of 27 minutes drive time per service, and we see that we were able to schedule 46 services, none of which started yet. I'm actually going to take a screenshot of this metric. So now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to unschedule this entire day, and I'm going to use the optimization engine. So I already activated, hold on. I already activated the optimization engine in this environment. If you're not sure how to activate the optimization, please pose this question, and we're going to try to cover it before the end of this webinar. But now, I'm going to press not schedule, but the optimize button. So this little interface, I'm selecting the locations, and I'm setting up the Los Angeles because that's where my demo is today. I'm optimizing November 29th, and it offers me just one day because this is what I am looking right now on the Gantt. If I added a weekly or a monthly view, this time frame would adjust accordingly. It asks me if I want to optimize only those services that were yet to be scheduled, so the unscheduled ones, or everything. And I'm saying, look at everything. It asks me what customer policy would I like to apply. Why do we have it here? Imagine that you do have a fully scheduled day, thinking that business will be as usual, and all of a sudden there is an environmental disaster or some sort of a surge in demand, and now you need to either allow overtime and re-optimize your day, or relax the scheduling rules and re-optimize your day. That's why we put the option right here, but we're going to stay with customer first. And now we're going to hit optimize. And at that very instance, to verify that something actually happened, you can go to the notification bar, And we can see that the optimization request was sent. And in a few moments, we'll see a little bar saying optimization is in progress. And if you press on it, on this notification, it takes you to that event, that optimization request event. And if you refresh it, you will see that it's in progress. And then it's going to queue, so it's queuing up for the optimization sequence. And when we engage optimization, what we really do is that we send out the numerical values of the services, the scheduling policies to the optimization server on Click Software side. It's hosted on Amazon Web Services, fully compliant with all security standards of Salesforce. So we send the numerical number, the numerical information there, no customer data, no confidential information is being set, just numbers. When the time arrives and you're no longer queuing up, but you're ready to go, the optimization will be in progress, and ultimately it will bring back the response onto the Gantt. And as opposed to putting it one by one, you're going to see an entire output of that optimization. And the important difference between the schedule action, which happens within Salesforce, and the optimize action, which sends the information to Click Software's optimization servers, the difference between the two is that here we're considering one job at a time. And with the optimize button, we're considering the entire period of time and the full work process or the full workload for that period of time when we optimize. And our optimization servers are crunching the numbers to figure out the optimal allocation of these services to these resources, considering the limitations and constraints, so things like skills, location, availability, commitments to customer appointments, and so on and so forth, the due date of the services on one hand, and the scheduling policy and the optimization objectives on the other. And when it finishes to crunch the numbers, and this process will take a minimum of 2 minutes, and if you're optimizing 1,000 or several thousand of services, it can take 10 minutes, half an hour, an hour. It's a background process that can happen overnight during the day, but this does allow you to continue using the system, so you don't need to wait for it. But here we go. We just got the result back of that optimization, and we can see that the KPIs have also adjusted themselves. So now, let me just bring that these KPIs. Hold on. And let's compare them against what we had before. So the total working time jumped from 56 hours to 63 hours and 30 minutes. We reduced the average travel time from one service to another from 27 minutes to 16 minutes. And we scheduled up from 46, we scheduled a total of 52 services for that particular day. So that's the meaning of the optimization engine. This is the ability to consider all of these parameters simultaneously, weigh the endless combinations of how this workload will be distributed, and figuring out of the most optimal ways to allocate work. And you can see the difference between semi-intelligent and fully optimized optimization of services. And this is just one example in one demo environment. And we oftentimes, as part of our sales cycle, would upload and configure customers' information into field service lighting, and we would run a proof of concept where we demonstrate what their last month would look like in terms of numbers if they were to use field service lighting. And we demonstrate the travel they would have saved, the number of services they would have completed, how they would have utilized the resources, and so on and so forth. You can see the vivid difference in metrics even in my simple demo with just a few resources. So this is optimization. This is the gist of it, and this is the idea of taking the powerful optimization engine, understanding where your customer is on their field service journey, defining the KPIs that the customers would care about the most, translating them to the scheduling policies, which we discussed in great detail on our previous webinar, and eventually deploying the optimization engine to achieve superb, unparalleled results. Now, when you optimize, or when you start using the optimization engine, or in order to start using the optimization engine, unless it's a very small or a simple field service operation, your customer, the company using field service Lightning, needs to get comfortable with the application. So we don't usually see the optimization engine itself being deployed in the first iteration, and if it is, it's not being used from the first day. The dispatchers would start by mimicking somewhat what they were doing so far, so maybe dragging and dropping, or using the smart scheduling, that schedule action and then verifying everything makes sense, and then gradually starting to use the optimization engine as the confidence in the systems grows and the understanding of the meaning and the impact of the scheduling policy becomes more vivid for the company. Now, when you deploy the optimization engine, the optimize button is not the only way for you to leverage and deploy the optimization engine. First of all, you can certainly trigger it through an API, turn it on, so to say, and make it work by something else happening somewhere else. So APIs are available for that. And you can also configure the optimization engine's automatic behavior in this background jobs section. So let's head over there. So there are several background jobs that we made available in Field Service Lightning. So automatically dispatching assigned services. Remember that the sharing rules of a service such is that as long as a service is at the assigned status, it is not going to be visualized to the technician from his mobile or from his or her account. It's only when you dispatch when the sharing rules change to allow that assigned technician to actually see the job. So dispatching can happen from the Gantt, or it can happen automatically. It can happen every morning. It can happen once a week. You can publish a whole bunch of services and dispatch them in an unlimited period of time, along with email notifications when that happens. Chatter reminders, you can set up the system to remind the technician that a job is about to begin. And if you do that, you can prompt the technician to don't forget to check in to the job, don't forget the safety checklist, or anything else that you wish to remind to the technician before they go in, even putting on a smile when you meet and greet the customer. Same goes with Jeopardy assignments, and what is relevant for our conversation today is, of course, the services optimization. So what options do you have here? First of all, you can activate it only for specific locations. So locations are the territories where you operate. So you would divide it either geographically or by departments, you know, Los Angeles versus San Francisco, or maintenance versus installation versus sales teams. So these are the locations. And by the way, to that previous question, and please post it on Chatter so we can elaborate on that, but essentially working locations are the locations where you are able to work, so you can be assigned to a location but actually be available in several locations. So when you deploy the optimization, more often than not, the company will choose to deploy it in a single location, validate that it makes sense, tweak the scheduling policies as needed, and then roll it out to the rest of the organization. And of course, the larger organization is, the more locations you will have, and the more gradual the optimization deployment would be. The optimization itself can be made reoccurring, and you can actually set it up for specific day or even hour of the week, right? So if you wanted to optimize overnight, before you dispatch the work in the morning to the technicians. If you wanted to re-optimize during the day, there are a lot of changes that inevitably happen throughout the day, lots of changes from customers, lots of issues from technicians, lots of delays. If there's so many changes that justify the deployment of optimization during the day, you can make it happen as frequently as once an hour to happen automatically. Of course, you can set up the horizon, how far into the future you're optimizing. You're looking at 1 day, 1 week, or 1 month ahead. And this might have significance because if you are let's say in the business of repairing and maintaining equipment, and you have maintenance contracts with your customers, and the maintenance contract stipulates that you need to be there within a 1 week time frame, let's say every month or every quarter. Being able to optimize simultaneously for several days allows the system to pick up on those cues and say, okay, well, we're dispatching someone there for an install. There are several surrounding customers that as of tomorrow we could do maintenance work for, so let's push this install to tomorrow if we don't have a customer commitment for today, so we can do some more work in that area. So the broader the horizon, of course, the more flexibility you will have for the optimization engine. The criteria is what services you are optimizing, and the options that you see here are the booleans, the radio buttons that you have currently on the service object. So you can actually choose and elect to optimize a select group of services using the optimization engine and schedule only these. And of course, the default scheduling policy for the automated or the pre-scheduled optimization engine. So here we go. That's all you need to do to schedule the optimization engine to run automatically when needed by the organization. And by doing so, you effectively streamline the scheduling process, taking away the routine from the dispatcher right into the optimization engine. Couple that with automatically dispatching assigned services, and you can see how we free up the dispatcher to focus on human quality decision making. So reviewing the schedule at the beginning of the day as opposed to compiling it manually for several hours. And that's a big win for many customers right away, right there. Communicating and collaborating with the field operation and the customers as opposed to while trying to plan the day at the end of the day before or at the beginning of your day in the morning, instead of hectically putting out fires between your customers and technicians, actually leveraging the gains to intelligently reassign and even re-optimize the schedule. So the power of optimization cannot be underestimated, and the ease of configuring it, really, all you need to do to have the optimization engine deployed is configure the scheduling policy, as we discussed last week, activate your optimization connection. There's a process that is outlined and it's very straightforward. Configure the automated aspects of it or the pre-scheduled aspects of it, and that's it. And you are good to go with the optimization engine. So certainly very convenient, and also puts a very, very powerful tool in your hands when you deploy this solution for our customers.
We have one question here.
Yes, go ahead.
It's regarding manual scheduling. Is it possible to move multiple services simultaneously? And is there any clear message explaining when a service cannot be scheduled?
So when a service cannot be scheduled, the best way to find out what's going on, and it's also a trick for you when you configure the system. If a service cannot be scheduled right there in the middle of the operation, no, you're not going to get an explanation from the system. I scheduled only 50 out of the 55 services, and the 5 could not be scheduled because. You're not getting this explanation in real time. But if something doesn't schedule, if you have a service configured, it's all right here created, and it just doesn't get assigned automatically, drag and drop it somewhere where you think it will be suitable to put in. And what you will get in return, because you can override, it will put itself there, but in return you will get a rule violation. And here it seems like I violated 3 rules. It's outside of working hours. I assigned it to a person with the wrong skills, and it's past the due date. Might very well be that the due date of this particular service was yesterday or 1 8 p.m. today, and I'm trying to schedule, and it's already past due, and the system cannot schedule a service that is already past due because it will override override the rules, and the system never violates its own rules. So the guidance for implementers and the dispatchers themselves. If you're trying to understand what's wrong with the service and why it does not get scheduled, just drag and drop it to where you think it will make perfect sense to put it in, and see what rule violations the system will pull out. If you do it while you implement, first of all, it will allow you to identify gaps or things that you forgot or didn't configure yet in the scheduling policy. It will also allow the customer, as part of the user acceptance testing, to evaluate which rules really make sense for them and which rules do not. Sometimes you'll get rule violations that really, I didn't care about this fact or that fact. Let's remove the rule. So dragging and dropping onto the Gantt is your quickest way. Same goes with appointments. If you're not getting appointments suggested when you're trying to invoke the appointment booking function, go to the Gantt, create a service, drag it to the Gantt, and see what rules you're getting. It will give you a very crisp indication of what you need to change in your scheduling policy or in your configuration for the time slots to show up. For dispatchers, the guidance is the same. If you wonder why something doesn't get scheduled or why something didn't get scheduled by the optimizer, drag it to the Gantt, and it will tell you.
Great, thank you. No further questions.
Excellent. Well, I think that this brings my presentation to the end. We talked about the optimization engine and the customer KPIs, and this is, of course, a continuation of our conversation last time around the scheduling policies, the rules and the objectives that it contains, and that alignment. Until the customer understands the relation between the wonderful optimization engine and what it's going to actually do for their KPIs, until you have that link defined and clearly understood by all parties, the appreciation is simply not going to happen. But once you have it in place, magic happens with Field Service Lightning. And if you configure the right reports, that will actually allow your customer to capture these metrics. So think about what fields or what formulas or what derivations of reporting from the field you want to have in place showing up in the report, so the customer could actually ask and have an answer to the question, did I reduce my operational cost? Did I improve my utilization? Did I enhance the way I operate? And am I more optimal? Make sure that you build the right reports to give the answers to these questions, measure them together with your customer, and see the success happening in front of your eyes. Thanks for hosting me, Katrine.
All right, you're welcome. And to the audience, so the next webinar is on Monday, so this coming Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific time, and this one is about contractor management in Field Service Lightning. So thank you, Nico, for presenting. Thank you, everyone, for attending the webinar, and have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a great rest of the day. And I will be posting the webinar in about an hour in the partner community. Thank you, guys. Bye.